And hello, whoever has taken the time to hop on right at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm Stephanie Brown from Intelligent Construction Opportunities, and we want to welcome you to I guess this is our second kick at the can with my buddy Heith Willis here for another Chat GPT Throwdown. Hi, Heith. How are you doing?
Doing good. How are you?
I am not bad. I am not bad. We're winding toward the end of the week where you just sort of slow down just a teeny bit. Have you had any summer vacation up to now?
Yeah, I just got back from vacation at the end of last week. So we went to Hilton Head, South Carolina, and had a really relaxing vacation. So it was well needed, and it definitely is tough to come back to work sometimes.
Isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm off to the cottage for a few days next week, and I'm looking forward to that. But my trusty laptop will be coming along with me.
Yeah.
So that's the way that goes these days. So I want the audience to kind of maybe do a little bit of a catch up. When Heath and I started this idea, it was to be able to show everybody how ChatGPT can help to engage those questions that you have for your projects, no matter where you sit in the construction tier and in the project. So Heath and I had a discussion, and we sort of felt that working on the pre-construction part of it all would be kind of a cool way to introduce what actually has to happen from a planning stage of obviously what you're doing, but how can ChatGPT perhaps enhance those plans and all the work that's put in up front of the project? So maybe you want to explain a little bit about what we're doing today?
Well, today, what had happened, what's going on is I'm currently on a large battery plant project that is in the pre-construction phase, and we're getting pricing on and getting ideas for different facilities and a lot of different things on the front end to help try to accommodate the project. And one of the biggest things with the construction projects is, temporary toilet facilities and things of that nature. So we were really looking at trying to get some nicer facilities for the construction workers, and because one of the biggest complaints on a project is the porta potties and the cleanliness, and you've got to have the porta potties, but also you can accommodate with a little nicer facility. So we got to looking into those, and some of the pricing is just you know it's astronomical. So my idea, it was just to go down a rabbit hole and see what it would cost to build them ourselves. And so I started asking ChatGPT about the shipping containers and converting those into modular bathrooms. So as you'll see through the ChatGPT, we'll go down that rabbit hole.
All right. So do you want to explain what we've got up here on the screen with
So
our little map here?
this is a pre-manufactured um, bathroom facility that is for sale that you can buy, and I believe the pricing on this is over $100,000 just for this one. So and it's extremely nice. It's got flooring and everything that a normal bathroom would have, but at the same time, my thoughts are is we are dealing with construction workers with muddy boots, and so it's nice, but the flooring and all the amenities aren't. They're it's just going to get tore up, if we buy this outright, and everything
And
goes.
not just that, how many would you need? I mean, if we're what size of project are you thinking of when you are looking at this, and how many of these trailers might you need?
Well, we're looking to accommodate 1,800 workers at peak, and that's not including office staff. So office staff will probably be, 300 to 400 um, estimately when at the peak of the project.
So, and you said how much is one trailer? You said
Or over 100,000 for one of
over a
these.
hundred.
Yeah. So this is, and as you can see, the amount of toilets and lavatories and urinals is it's going to take multiple. You'd probably have to have at least one on each corner of this facility, and then probably two more to facilitate the entire project. So you're looking at several $100,000 just for temporary bathroom facilities, and then of course all the added costs of cleaning them and everything of that nature to maintain these.
So, all right, let's segue to what do you think, and what were you working in ChatGPT to sort of find an alternative solution? Well, not even sort of find one.
Yeah. So I went down a rabbit hole and I just thought of the shipping containers like I was talking about. So I just started with how much does a shipping container cost, and it spit out the different sizes and the different price range just based on what kind you may want. So I continued down that rabbit hole and just told it exactly what I planned on doing, and asked how many toilets can fit in each container, including partitions around each. And of course, being a mechanic, and as being a plumber and knowing dimensions and stuff like that, it said that the toilet partitions were 3 foot, the width were 3 foot wide, and so with that being said, I know that they need to be a little wider. So
So
as you can see,
what did you ask it to compensate, knowing that it needed to be wider?
well, I came here. You can see. Can you estimate the stall at 3 foot 2 inches instead of 3 feet? So that allowed the actual 3 foot clear in the stall.
Okay.
So then it broke it back down, and of course you can see it gives a good explanation of the width and the length of each one, and it gives the depth of the stall, and it shows that you can install 12 stalls per row, which is in two. It says you can fit 24 toilets into each container, which is that's correct, but it's not. That's not feasible. So you just want the 12 toilets along one wall in order to have a passageway. So I said with 12 toilets in each storage container, can you estimate the cost of with a light above each toilet? Because we're going to have lighting, and we've got to have exhaust, to duct any fumes out, which, within toilets, you're going to have some massive fumes sometimes. So, and explain the lighting, what I wanted with switches on each end of the trailer. So it continued. It's gave me pretty accurate information. Standard flush top toilets, pricing for all those. Partitions, it broke down the cost of partitions, which is not my expertise. I don't typically do partitions, so that's
So I'm curious. So if you have the plumbing skill, so you're trying to, find a solution, help the company to save money against, ostensibly, I guess at least $500,000 if you were to buy these off, quote unquote, off the shelf.
Mm-hmm.
So who would help to do the stalls, and would that take on a different labor costs a consideration?
Yes, yeah, and typically, well, working with a general contractor, luckily we have carpenters that would help with the labor costs, but there would be, we would have to accrue that labor cost for the install.
Mm-hmm.
But so, and you can ask ChatGPT for that, for the labor estimate also. So, it breaks down the exhaust fans and the ducting, and then the plumbing, gives you a rough idea of what the material is going to cost. And then it created a table for me to table. And
Nice.
then within that, it's estimated the labor for a plumber, an electrician, um, and then the cost for all this. But after doing this, and based on the storage container I know is going to be on the ground, you can't use standard toilets because they go through the floor. So a shipping container is barely 4 inches off the ground. So you can't, it would be impossible to install all of these toilets, and go through the floor of this. So um, I I realized that, and then later I changed the pricing is what I did here. But in realizing the toilet need, let me find it. I was like, all right, would rear outlet toilets cost more? So, and of course they would, but I realized we were going to have rear outlet toilets in
But you
order to
bring
make
a
it
good
work.
point out, because we're here showing off, the capability of ChatGPT. That's what I think most of us that have had experience with it understand, is that it makes you think about things that you might have not thought about to even ask it. And out of this, bought your, well, that's not going to work with a shipping
Right,
container.
right.
So
Yeah.
I
Yeah, and
think,
that's, the great thing about it on the fly, for one, it spits out the information so quick that it's easy to back up and ask, oh man, I missed this. Can you include that in? And then it just, bam, it's got all the information back installed with, you know, in place for you to reevaluate what your new outcome, with the problem solved. And then of course you just continue with uh, more understanding and more findings, which is amazing. It's just a great tool to be able to use.
so now that you've got pricing, now that you're talking about rear outlet toilets, where are we going to go
Mhm.
now to try and make this some sort of a realistic, I'll say, presentation that you might be able to say, okay, you know, we can save I want to be able to go through this little project here and say, okay, having bought those trailers off the shelf with those toilets could have cost the company $600,000, $700,000, wherever that price might have ended for six. You said six trailers,
Mhm.
approximately. How can we get this cost down, and what's the reality of building it in this manner? So,
Yeah.
key
So,
point.
the reality and the benefit from, like, what I saw is, for one, you can personalize this as you build it, whereas buying one off the shelf, you're getting what you get. So what I realized later is, like, I can paint the company colors and put the company logo on them, and not only that, but you can, and I said purchase, but that's actually, that picture was renting that for a year. So when you're done with that project, that's not, you give that back, that facility,
Yeah.
so whereas if you build these out and you have them, you can literally, put them on a flatbed and ship them to the next project. Of course, there's maintenance that'll have to take place, but they're always going to be within the company.
So I'm curious. I mean, this is me and my ignorance about the inner workings that go on behind the scenes. But say, supposing it was built, and what kind of size of a general contractor, or maybe even a yard, would a general contractor have to store and facilitate these things?
Well, and it depends. Obviously, this is a large job site. I mean, the totals, we're on over 500 acres, so this
Oh,
is,
there's the answer.
yeah. I mean, it's uh, about 2.5 million square foot building. Is the first building, and then there's a phase two that's supposed to follow this one with another 2.5 million square foot facility. So, you know, for the average general, project, this is a large build. But you can see, if you were to have a long project that's going to take, instead of renting that one for $150,000 for a year or $100,000,
Mm-hmm.
you could build out one of these shipping containers for a fraction of that cost, and it's you can move it from site to site.
Well, as you can see, I've put up hi Renee. So glad you took some time to join this live stream. I know you've been in some of the others with us, and we really appreciate it. She says this is wild. Never thought to use this tool for an ROM like this. You still need to know the code to check it, like you did, but the great use of the tool. So when she's talking about code, can you extrapolate on that a little bit?
Um, yeah, like as far as building code,
Yes.
I'm assuming is what she means.
Is
Yeah, I mean,
that right,
you'd
Renee?
have to.
I don't know if she'll be able to answer us, but
Yeah, I mean,
I
but
think it's fair.
and if she means building code or to use code to build this, that's the good thing about Chat GPT is you do not, you just use common language to talk to it. But now building code, if that's what she's speaking of, yeah, you'd have to use it by, do it by
Well,
building
let's
code
put
for
it in.
those
Let's
areas.
test it. Let's test it.
Yeah.
There's two different ways that we could have interpreted the code. Let's test it. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm.
Put it in and see what happens. What kind of code, building code, would I have to, however you're going to phrase it? Yeah, she said, here, she answers. Yes, he knew the code for the size of the stalls and checked it. But I even like that we've thought of even, beyond that. Will they meet general build? I think that's an excellent question. Your safety guy's going to want to know that.
Yeah. Let's see. And it's stalling. And if you see right here,
Yeah.
you can make mistakes checking ported info. So, that's that is important because I've reread through a lot of this and found little mistakes that um, you have to go back on. Then you got to say, hey, you didn't include, you know, um, you didn't include this in your pricing.
All right. So can you give it a question to rewrite the question, or yeah, just get out of that and ask it again?
Well, for some reason, it's not giving me the option right now.
Oh,
But
really?
yeah, I can't. I don't know if it's because I'm sharing the screen or what's going on, but it won't let me see. This would normally be
Right.
this
Right.
arrow would normally be black, but
All right. So why don't you take it and try and take it away and refresh it? I've taken you off screen off
okay.
the screen for a minute, and we can sort of think about, kind of about the bathrooms in the meantime. What would we be doing? Um, as I said, the whole idea of the project is to try and bring it to reality.
Yeah.
So I could, let me see.
Yeah, I'm not sure why it's not.
Still not wanting to cooperate with you?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Let me see what I can do here.
But also, if Renee was referring to meeting code as far as handicap accessibility, I did at some point in here, as you can see, this is a long thread, go back and accommodate for the 5-foot wheelchair circle.
I put my ChatGPT up for a minute, but if you've got something else you want to share or have to share, that map, I could start a new chat, and well, everybody knows by now the old cliche about technology, right? It's all great until it doesn't work, and
Yeah,
this
I'm
would
not
be
sure
an
why.
instance of that.
Yeah.
It's still not coming back for you. Did you try to refresh your page?
Yeah, I did. I'm going to try to log back in and see if it'll go for me.
It's just hard because I could bring mine up, but it doesn't. As everybody,
It doesn't
well,
actually.
I don't know if everybody knows, but ChatGPT, it's all about the context, right?
Yeah.
The longer you have that thread and you're asking it questions, it starts to feed on itself.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not allowing me to at all, and in any thread that I have.
Yeah, there's Renee again with yes, some stalls may need to be ADA compliant. All right, well, let's just see what I can do here.
Yeah, and as far as that goes, I planned on putting it actually in that chat. It allowed for 2 5-foot stalls, one on each end. It left enough space, given the dimensions that one on each end. You could put a 5-foot on both ends of the trailer and have 2 handicap stalls. So.
All right. So what I'm going to do, just so you know, I mean, I guess unfortunately this is not going to be as great a session today.
Well, I didn't want to. I was hoping we'd be able to interact with ChatGPT, but I don't know why it's not allowing me to ask questions.
Because you're getting too smart for it, and the guys in the background are going, "Oh, really? Well, now."
I'm definitely not too smart for that. ChatGPT.
I don't know. And you are on the paid version, yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I've shared my screen. Everybody can see I've got ChatGPT 6 up. And I'm going to say what I'd like you to do, and I'll take over the typing, obviously, is feed me a question and see if we can't sort of build out what you already started. So what were we going to ask, and just give me as much context as possible, and we'll see what ChatGPT will do on my end.
I think, what Renee was getting at is, in the 40-foot storage container, making sure you allow for a handicap accessible.
So what I'm just trying to think of an entry point here. So I'm looking to build. I'm just trying to reiterate what you've already started. I'm looking to build shipping containers as bathrooms on our construction site, and I just need some of the details. That's all. So we're looking it's for about 1,500 people, right?
Yes. Yes.
And there was one key. What happened when you thought you can't do this in a shipping container? What was the language, the phrase you used? that it was a particular way that you had to build?
Oh, a rear outlet toilet.
Okay. Rear outlet toilet facilities.
Mm.
Please provide costs and breakdown of what would be necessary to build these units ourselves. At least it's a start, Heith. Let's see what happens. And also, it's a kind of a good thing to be able to compare. Oh, and are you still there?
Yes.
Okay. And you say add ADA compliant?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah, with the ADA compliant on that.
So where am I? It actually gave me a fairly decent outcome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you can see, everybody can see my screen, and then I'm gonna move it to the top, right? All right. So I'm looking to build the shipping container as we said. So let's just even compare, because sometimes I find that I do it purposely to trick ChatGPT sometimes, is you can ask it in one session and then ask the same question in another session. Are you getting consistent answers? So I want you to look through here. So creating the self-built shipping container. Is that right? Did you say 50 to 75 containers?
No.
What did you get as an answer? It's taking 1,500 people.
How many? What did you say again? How many people?
I put in a number to accommodate 1,500 people with a rear
Yes.
outlet toilet facility.
Well,
And
I think
the number of shipping containers you're going to need is 50 to 75. And you're saying we initially talked about 6, didn't
yeah.
we?
Well, and it has to be by OSHA standard, not to accommodate. Because on a construction site, you're only required to provide so many uh, toilet facilities per person or per 10 or 100 people. I can't remember how it states for sure.
Well, let's ask it.
Yeah.
So what are OSHA's toilet facilities minimums, I'll say, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And we'll start with that. So, again, we're sort of talking about what's in regulation and what's not. So there you go. So I'm going to ask them to redo their initial estimate. And stop me anytime, Heith, if I'm getting off course, to only include the number of bathroom facilities required by OSHA. Whoops. By OSHA for a crew up to 1,500 on-site, I'll be explicit, workers. Oops. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, let's see what happens. It's still saying 10 to 20 containers. Wow.
Well, here's, and I can show you my screen that it's actually working again.
Is
So
it? Perfect. All right. I'll get out. You get in. But isn't that interesting how, and again, that's also a lesson in perspective, right? In terms of what you know. I don't know if you froze. It looks like you froze. There must be something with your connection, Heath. There you are. You froze for a minute and you can't be heard. Yeah. Okay, still can't hear you. Are you there? No? Can you say something? I apologize for anybody who's on the live stream. I think obviously we have some technical problems today. Hmm. I just want to say to the audience, if anybody's still on line, Heath is having technical difficulties as we were trying to build out this shipping container project plan for the site. I will ensure that we have sort of a summary of what was supposed to happen in today's live stream if Heath doesn't make it back on in the next couple of seconds, I'll say. Not sure what happened or how to bring him back. Oh, there he is. There he is. Okay. Still can't hear you though. Can you say something?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. I had an internet issue, I guess, and it shut everything off.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so do you want to see if you can get ChatGPT back up or?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Let's see.
So,
Okay, and hide that little bar over your ChatGPT
yeah.
there. It's a distraction. All right, so carry on.
So basically I asked, how many temporary toilets are required by OSHA on a project, and it states 201 or more, one toilet and one urinal per 50 workers. So then I asked how many are required per. So you need 36 toilets and 36 urinals or for that matter, you could have 72 toilets.
So as what I was saying when I was doing it, it all depends how you're asking your questions, right?
Right. So knowing that those two trailers I built have 12 toilets per.
Per container, yeah.
Yeah. Just do it the dumb way right here.
Well, that's the one thing about ChatGPT. It doesn't seem to criticize what you don't know.
No.
Or may not know based on how you're asking it.
Yeah, so you need 3 trailers for the 36 toilets. Of course, knowing you need the same amount of urinals or toilets, so you would need 6 trailers.
So that's where you got it from. So I'm curious then. So it's really piquing me, because to have asked it the way I did gave me a very different outcome that I could have gone down a rabbit hole. Now, mind you, it did say over 150 employees, 1 additional toilet for each additional 40 employees. And it said 6 toilets, to your point. So this is good for verification. 2 different people, trying to solve something similar. I said between 111 to 150 employees, you would need 6 toilets.
Correct.
So that's good. I'm glad to see that there is a consistency.
Yeah.
All right. So that's
the other caveat of a construction site is you have to, meet OSHA standards, or the minimum requirement is typically how it's stated or going to be, for that matter. Because obviously you can't put 1,800 porta potties out there. It economically wouldn't work.
You'd have more bathroom than you would have site. Yes, obviously. Yes, but I mean, I think, interestingly enough, this little glitch today, you and I were talking before we went live, things happen for a reason. Seriously, if that's not a case of what just happened, I don't know what is. But to have to check with OSHA, it obviously makes sense all the time, right? If you're violating what they're telling you, you're going to be in trouble potentially in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Build otherwise. All right, so let's keep going then. So now that we've done that, I believe, because as we wrap up and we get into the next last 15 minutes of today, I want to sort of talk about costs and how we can look at price comparisons. I know you were looking at some stuff from Home Depot. Is that right?
Yes. Well, and I just asked, can you get pricing from Home Depot and set up delivery? Trying to get as much as I can out of ChatGPT as I can. Hopefully, to set up delivery would be great. So it breaks down the material list. Obviously, I don't think you can get shipping containers from Home Depot, but I wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
But it breaks down the lumber costs, everything that you're needing in great detail. And some of this is estimates. Obviously the good round numbers are going to be an estimate.
Right. And I'm sure if you rephrased it, you could probably have asked to give you ranges for each item, right?
Correct.
A low and a high cost.
Yeah. Yeah. And, if you see like above when I was just asking about the shipping containers, that's what it did. It gave me a low and a high cost for the shipping containers.
Good. But that's good.
Mm-hmm.
At least you're starting, and you know that you don't want to be at the top any more than, let's be honest, that's how bids are working. Yeah. All right, good. Keep going.
So, knowing what we talked about just now, we would have to, we know we need 6. So I just asked it, what would the total be for 6 40-foot trailers be?
And I'm dying to see what the comparable is against, a bare minimum of 600,000 if you bought those initial 6 trailers off the shelf.
Right. So, and this is including exterior paint and,
but is it including labor? I want you, because you're going to pay people, no?
Yeah, it actually labor for painting.
Okay, perfect. I just want
and it gives you an estimate of what a labor rate would be.
Yeah.
A lot of this, most of all of it does include labor, but it does give its disclaimers.
Sure.
Ensure professional services. But right here, $111,816 for 6 of them.
For 6 of them.
Correct.
Wow. Well, if that does, that speaks volumes. To me, even if it was off, Heath, even if you were talking, it was like $100,000 off, and I would think that'd be a crazy amount to be off, but you're still, a basic $400,000 to the good. So I'm curious to know, do you know, historically, are people actually, like, what are they doing what's the average cost of, let's ask ChatGPT, what is the average cost of porta potty facilities right now, shipping container or not, built or bought or not? And say it for the size of project we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's important to add that.
Well, we'll just break it down for one right now. Okay. So, a monthly rental for one is, dollars, I would assume, on the, and we know that we would need 72 of those,
Yeah.
For this project, probably a little bit more.
So there you are.
It went ahead and added all that information. Yeah, I wasn't even looking that far yet. It went ahead and continued. So with all those, you're looking at 18,000 a month, if at 500 at the high end.
And look at that. You didn't even ask it to name your sources. I ask it for sources now because I think it's really important.
Yeah. Yeah, it's good to know where to go if you need to continue the conversation for sure.
But look at that. So 18 grand a month on average. So
and that's for 36. So we know we need 72 because you got to have an availability for a toilet and a urinal.
Right. So ask it to correct it and put in the right number, because what I'd like to do is kind of say, okay, how long is the average project? That's the kicker. It's one thing to know what it's costing you monthly, but I mean, we all know sites and schedules and so on and so forth very rarely, probably never will ever get completed, in terms of what pre-construction hopes will happen.
And do you see the question? I'm asking for the median price for, and
Good.
I'm going to increase it to 80 because there'll be more than 72 on site, and there'll probably be more than 80. But if the other facilities are not taken into account, so the median price, brings it down to $22,000 a month for. Of course, that's going to include your maintenance and everything of that nature. So,
and tell me something. So, in terms of maintenance, who on the site is responsible for maintenance, and where does that end up in terms of initiating perhaps the quality of how these porta potties are kept from the back office perspective?
Well, typically a porta potty is, management's typically mandates how frequent they're cleaned. You set it up on a bi-weekly or a weekly basis, depending on how much they're used. And that's another reason for not using the bare minimum amount of porta potties for the OSHA standard, is because when you get the minimum amount, usually they fill up faster, so you frequently have to clean them, and that can drive the cost up.
But who's responsible for setting that bathroom cleaning schedule? Justin Hernandez told me one of the most horrific stories I have ever heard was going in to one of those and coming out without sleeves. And that has always stuck in my head.
Well, I mean, I've heard of guys coming out without socks,
See? All right. So fine. We know what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's really, I think it's important that the maintenance piece of it from the financial perspective be the consideration. So whatever they're coming up with in ChatGPT and the numbers, I'd want to make sure that me. I guess me. I want to delve a little deeper. Okay, what's the cost of really good maintenance?
Yeah, typically the cost of maintenance is included in the rental rate, but it can fluctuate. It says right here, indicates the standard portable toilet cost between $242 and $378, depending on service frequency and other factors. So that gives you a little better idea of, so I guess we could ask then.
And it isn't just this, Heith, because if you're building them, then you have to find the people to maintain them. So is that an industrial maintenance service? I mean, it's a dumb question because I think the answer is obvious. It is, isn't it?
What do you mean?
It's an industrial cleaning service that you would then have to tack on, right?
Well, and that just, basically the way that works is some guy comes out in a pump truck and the pump truck's equipped with cleaning supplies, and that's why they're called a blue room for the most part, typically they're blue, but also the cleaning agent they use is typically blue. So the entire inside of the porta potty is all blue once they have sprayed it all down and sanitized it. So with the cleaning agent, so they come and do that, and they restock the toilet paper and then pump out all the nasty stuff, and that's included in the monthly rate. So.
Right, but and Amy, I'm glad you know
Yeah.
of course estate and care. This is why one of the reasons when we talked about doing this topic, Heath, I'm all about it, because to me, when you talk about continuous improvement and lean and respect for people and all those underlying things, to me it is fundamental to have the bathroom facilities in all of their glory properly costed for. So if in fact, as we started this project, you've now said, okay, there's a better cost level we could get at just to, instead of off the shelf, building them ourselves, then you would be able to save that money to then perhaps properly apply that to a maintenance schedule. That's what I believe. And to me, again, my shtick is technology, sure. But we should be using this technology, whether it's ChatGPT or anything else, and I'm on my soapbox right now, to uncover great problems like this, i.e. not having to buy off the shelf bathroom facilities and trailers that have them. Build them yourself, have them as your own cost of doing business, I guess, and then being able to afford a proper maintenance schedule. What do you, am I crazy? Is this like?
Yeah, I mean, these are, you know, when you're weighing whether or not to build the trailers that I'm speaking of versus, because, you know, building those trailers, that $111,000 for the 6 trailers, well, guess what? That doesn't include any of this servicing. You know, now granted, most of the, you know, it's going to be easier servicing because those will be fully piped to a tank, you know, and that tank will have to be pumped out. So that'll be another added cost as far as the servicing, and then cleaning those trailers will be another added cost. So.
Well, and I brought Amy's comment up because, you know, she's saying not sure if ChatGPT knows about quality of life. It doesn't. It's only going to be if you feed the context of how to factor in the quality of life. And that's why I wanted to play a numbers game today, because that's all that people pay attention to on any project or anything we're talking about, is who's footing the bill and how can we make room in the budget so that the maintenance is there.
Well, and, you know, and to add to some of what, you know, what we're talking about, and, you know, having been in construction for so long, when you ask the question about how many facilities, how many toilets would it take to accommodate 1,800 people, I just automatically, you know, related it to the OSHA standard without thinking. And, you know, when you ask that question, it spit out the astronomical number. I was like, what? That's not right. Oh yeah. We have to base it on OSHA standards, you know? So, you know,
but that's good to know, because regulations are, I mean, not that all regulations, as we all know, are not crazy and outdated and not right or whatever, but at least it's a standard. And it's a standard you for whatever reasons you have to comply with.
Right.
So I think that's a good factor that it came up today, just, you know, because your internet dropped. Right. That's why, you know what? It's funny. I mean, normally when that happened, I would have been like freaking out, and I was like, oh no, but I don't anymore, because I realize now if you pay attention to what doesn't go right in your life. And again, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent. You can kind of understand and analyze where you are in your life and maybe why that thing went away or changed or whatever, didn't work out the way you thought it should.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'll talk to you offline about something about that, but yeah. That's something that happened to me yesterday that didn't work out like I thought it would. And, you kind of take it on the chin and you just got to go, continue on.
That's right. Right. Well, I mean, I think personally, I'm going to be doing some summarizing what happened today and continuing to try and help bring these, what I'm calling nuggets that can come out of these live streams and sharing them with people that register and connect with me and connect with Heith so that we can solve problems. I want to be able to solve problems. I know we're not going to save the world. We're not going to, eat all that so-called elephant at once and all the issues and challenges. But I think this is a great example to me and a great start of really analyzing just even the bathroom facility issue, the costs around there, and perhaps how these little small pivots could perhaps change the outcomes of people having to degrade themselves and use their sleeves and their socks, which to me is just outrageous. Outrageous.
Well, yeah, and there's even more outrageous stories.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll talk about that offline as well. Anyway, I want to thank Renee and Amy and anybody who showed up and even added your comments. We want to hear more after the fact. If you think of something else that maybe we didn't think about that could be included, Heith and I are going to continue working in the sort of pre-construction side of this with ChatGPT, trying to build out little solution scenarios and things that, Heith is a professional that he is an MEP, is only too well aware of, and seeing what technology can help the process. And that's all for today. So we'll call it a wrap. I want to thank you, Heith, for hanging in there and coming back and fighting through. Thank you, Renee. Really appreciate your participation. We appreciate it. And we'll hope to see you again soon. And that's a wrap.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you on the other side.
All right.